when the fullness of time had come, God sent forth his Son, Jesus, born of woman, Mary, born under the law, to redeem those who were under the law, so that we might receive adoption as sons. And because you are sons, God has sent the Spirit of his Son into our hearts, crying, Abba, Father. So you are no longer a slave, but a son. And if a son, then an heir through God. The doctrine of adoption might be one of the most incredibly beautiful, meaningful doctrines, and it's incredibly underappreciated, this doctrine of adoption. In fact, it is completely out of this world because it was planned from the beginning of time, out of this world. See, the doctrine of adoption means that you have a new status, that you are part of his family. And this morning, it was so amazing because we had Charlie and Caitlin Musser, and I know some of you guys know Charlie and Caitlin. They go here, and this week, they were able to adopt little 2-year-old Haley into their family, and which was so cool because we had them up and they did baby dedications. We did baby dedications a couple weeks ago, if you remember, and which was so cool because we weren't even planning them being up here today. We didn't even know it was going to kind of work out this way, and God in his providence aligned that together. And so this week on Tuesday, the judge said, little Haley is now a Musser. You are a Musser. Your name has changed. Your status has changed. You have a new family. You have a new name. But man, it's changed. And that doctrine of the adoption is that if you're a son, if you're a daughter, and when you're called into his family, everything has changed. What he's talking about in terms of adoption back in the Roman world is a little bit different than us a little bit, because back then, they didn't adopt kids that were really young. People were adopted a little older in their life. In fact, what happened usually was there was a transaction that took place where an older man who was getting up in the years, who had an estate, he had some money, and he didn't have any children, and he realized that he didn't want his estate to get split up. And so he would look for a young adult, someone that he could adopt, and that this person could become the heir, and that could continue on that estate without that estate getting split up. And so what would happen on the day that that person was adopted, of course, his name changed, status changed, he all of a sudden became an heir, and he got an inheritance. And that person didn't do anything for it. It wasn't based on his worth. It wasn't based on his fitness. It wasn't based on his record. It wasn't based on his achievement. He didn't do anything for it. And we see a book called Slaves, Citizens, and Sons, written by Francis Lyle, a helpful quote about this. He says, "The profound truth of Roman adoption was that the adoptee was taken out of his previous state and placed in a new relationship, of son to his new father. All his old debts were instantly canceled, and in effect, the new adoptee started a new life as part of this new family. On the one hand, the new father owned all the new offspring's property and controlled his personal relationships and had all the rights of discipline. But on the other hand, the father was liable for the actions of the adoptee and all the reciprocal duties of support and maintenance." Now, you need to catch this. This is important, and this is wonderful, because what happens so often is that, and this happened for me, when I became a new Christian, I think in terms of negative terms when I became a Christian, okay, of the things that were taken off of me, okay? My sins were taken off of me. My guilt was taken off of me. Condemnation taken off of me. But in adoption, the doctrine of adoption, we see that there are things taken off. But man, you cannot get the full experience and really live as a true adopted child until you realize what is put on. What is put on. And that you who are a child of God are now completely accepted. You're secure. You've got a new name. You got a new status. And you've got Jesus' righteousness. You've got righteousness. When God looks at you, He actually sees you being righteous. The robe of Jesus' righteousness is placed over you. And you didn't do anything for it. Nothing. Freely adopted out of love. It came to you.